Hey guys, what's going on? If you're new to the MedHead channel, my name is Derrick and I am a first year medical student at McGovern Medical School. And you guys requested last week actually a detailed schedule of my day-to-day life, and I took the time to basically map out the exact schedule I go by from day to day. So to start off with, if you guys didn't know, I'm in something called Foundations, which is a semester-long course at the beginning of every MS1's year at my medical school. If you aren't super sure what that is, I actually have a video kind of going over that, and I'll put it somewhere up above. But basically, we have 3 blocks within this one semester called Foundations, and at the end of each block, we have a test over basic science, which will be called the Foundations course, anatomy, which is technically part of Foundations, and then we have doctoring, which is its own course that we take alongside Foundations and beyond past first semester of medical school. So as I go through this video, you'll see me kind of talking about the different types of classes I'm taking, and just keep in mind, many of the classes I'm talking about is either for Foundations, doctoring, or anatomy. The day I actually filmed didn't feature a lot of doctoring actually on that day, but usually doctoring lectures are sprinkled throughout the week. The video you're going to see is going to have mostly foundations and anatomy. So typically I wake up every day and I roll around in my bed for about 10 minutes convincing myself to get up. My wake up time is usually around 6:45, 6:30. Sometimes if I'm feeling adventurous and need to get more done, I'll wake up at 6 or 6:15, but that really is a rare occurrence. After making my bed, I always grab a quick coffee in the morning. I usually don't brush my teeth right when I wake up, just to make sure that the enamel of my teeth isn't super exposed when I drink acidic things like coffee. So I usually brush my teeth 30 minutes after my morning coffee. After grabbing coffee and a quick morning breakfast snack, usually a banana or a muffin, and I get to my desk and it's still early enough, I'll get some Anki cards out of the way. Before class starts for the day, what I'll actually do is go to tomorrow's lectures and see what's going on for that, because sometimes we have flipped classrooms or we have things that require lots of preparation. If we do have something that requires lots of preparation, I'll make note of it in my planner, and then I'll make sure during my structured studying period that I add that prep to my study schedule for the day. Lectures usually every day start around 8 a.m. and most lectures usually run around 50 minutes each, with 10 minutes in between each lecture for break. So for instance, for the 8 a.m. lecture at 8:50, I would actually leave my room, force myself from my desk, and walk around and get the blood flowing and take a break. I'll stretch, play with Dolly, do something other than studying. Lectures will usually continue like this until 11:50, so 3 lectures in the morning, and then we'll have a lunch break at 12. On certain days, we'll actually finish lecture around 11, and we'll have an early lunch break from 11 to 12 and have a lecture at 12. Usually these lectures are not as related to basic sciences like a foundations course, but instead like a meeting on ethics or a doctoring lecture. For instance, yesterday we had an ultrasound lecture where we learned how to determine which type of probes to use for whatever we were looking for, and how to look at ultrasound images on the screen. But like I said, on most days we finish around 11:50, the first chunk of lectures, have lunch at 12 around the normal time, and we'll resume lecture around 1 o'clock. That lecture is usually going to be an anatomy peer teaching session. But at 12, I will usually make lunch from what's at home. It saves me money, and an hour is really not enough time to whip up something big, so I will make a sandwich, grab something from the fridge that I might have meal prepped, something quick but filling. But today I am actually out of groceries. My refrigerator is empty, my cabinets have nothing in them, and so I actually will have to go to the grocery store later today. Usually disciplined, Derek would go to the store and grab a quick oven meal, but today I wasn't feeling so disciplined and it was a rough week, so I felt like I needed to kind of treat myself a bit to bring up my spirits, and I ended up going to Cane's. Don't regret it. The chicken was amazing.
Hi, could I get a box combo?
Around 12:45, I will usually end lunch and begin reviewing the slides that I prepped for peer teaching. And I talked about peer teaching a little earlier, and you might have seen it in the other vlogs that I do. However, if you're not sure what that is, the peer teaching is just an opportunity for students to teach each other the material of anatomy. Depending on the day, you'll either teach the structures of the anatomy or the clinical correlates of that anatomy. On Tuesdays, I usually teach the structures. So for instance, on Tuesday, I taught the head and neck anatomy to the other group, and the other group taught me the clinical correlates for the head and neck anatomy. So here are the slides and the example I just provided you with the facial structures, where we'll give the other group a general overview of its origins, insertions, actions, and things like that. On Thursday, I'll do clinical correlates. So we did clinical correlates for a different area of the neck, and they taught me the structures for that area of the neck. I usually work on my PowerPoint slides for this the night before the peer teaching, and at 1 p.m. we actually will do the peer teaching. Some weeks I will have anatomy lab, but as you guys know, with the pandemic, I actually go to lab less than prior classes have to allow for social distancing in the gross anatomy lab. At 2:30, the day of lectures and meetings are usually finished with. Obviously, we have exceptions on some days where I have club meetings, but around 2:30 is when I can go by my own study schedule and really have an uninterrupted chunk of study time. I start off this chunk of study time at 2:30 by reviewing anything in today's lecture that I had some trouble understanding. This will usually take me about 45 minutes to an hour, and by the time 3:30 gets around, I'm done reviewing difficult concepts from today's lectures, and we'll start reviewing lectures from earlier in the week. But before I start reviewing earlier lectures, I have to put together a game plan for this uninterrupted study time. So I'll go on my planner, I'll kind of look around, make sure that I know what I need to be looking at, prioritize things. So this is really just my time to make my own game plan. So for today's game plan, we have some pre-reading to do for TBLs tomorrow, cranial nerves, Anki, and some other studying. And I usually use the class schedules provided to me and my past trackers to keep track of what I need to get done for today. The Anki cards that I assigned to myself each day were luckily provided to me by a group of second-year medical students who made the cards specifically for our foundations course. So after putting together the game plan and looking through what I need to do, it's usually around 3:45, and I will usually start Anki cards once again. However, before I start my Anki cards, I'm usually super tired around that time. That's my daily slump where I kind of have that unfortunate dip in energy, and so I will get a cup of coffee. However, on days that I can push through a little bit more and really can hold off on that second cup, I will. And so today was one of those days, and I was able to kind of push through until 5:30 until I couldn't anymore. Usually I will study up until 7 with having kind of small breaks in between, usually about 5 minutes after 25 minutes of studying, or I'll take a 10-minute break after 50 minutes of studying, depending on how I'm feeling or how my focusing is going, or if I'm in a rhythm. If I am in a rhythm, I would usually like to do 50 minutes of studying and 10 minutes of break. But at 7, I will usually allow myself to take a longer break, usually going to about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on what I'm doing, and I just allow this time for me to do whatever I really want to. Something to just kind of get my mind off of studying, whether that's editing a YouTube video, watching YouTube, watching Netflix, playing with Dolly, walking around, or just feeling the breeze of outside. It's something to just kind of get my mind clear for a quick minute. But today I'm using that longer break period to go to the grocery store because, as you guys know, I have nothing in my fridge or in my cabinets. Like I said, usually my longer break period will end around 7:45 or 7:30. Today it ended around 8 because I didn't come back from the grocery store until around 8, which I'm fine with really because today was kind of productive. So I'm not really upset with myself for that. But after putting away my groceries, we're gonna get right back into it. So from 8 to 10:30 is another long study period. From 8 to 10:30 is usually where I also do that prep studying for tomorrow's lectures that I told you guys about earlier if it is necessary. But a lot of the times it's usually just Anki and more studying and making sure I am good with what has been going on this whole week. After that 10:30 time, around 10:45, I'll actually start downloading all the PowerPoints for tomorrow's lecture, because what I used to do is download the PowerPoint right before lecture started, and I used to scramble around and the download would take too long or it would fail and there would be problems, and I hated it. So now I actually just download all the PowerPoints the night before, and it seemed to work fine now. So that's what I usually do around 10:45. Downloading and making sure I have everything gathered for tomorrow and I know kind of a general idea of what we're going to be doing takes about 15 minutes, and by then it is going to be around 11 o'clock. By 11, my eyes start getting droopy and I know it's time to start wrapping up. I clear my desk of everything, force myself to get up, and I will actually usually take a few big gulps of water to give my body some hydration to work with during that long 8-hour period of no fluid intake. And then I'll go brush my teeth, make sure I'm fine, and get to bed. And that is usually my day-to-day schedule almost every day. Of course, with slight variances depending on the day, but it really is wash, rinse, repeat. I do almost the same thing every day, and so that is why sometimes I leave my apartment to kind of get out and kind of break the normalcy of things and kind of keep my mind stimulated so I don't feel like things are getting kind of monotonous. However, I do love what I do enjoy it, so it doesn't get too bad but this quite literally is what I've been doing every single day since August 3rd. Except on Fridays and Saturdays, you guys know that I take that half day off. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys recently started following me, you're probably really used to me putting out a lot of vlogs, and I wanted to put out something different for you. But if you enjoyed those vlogs, stay tuned for the next one this upcoming weekend. But like I always say, I'm super grateful for you guys, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of MedHead. I will see all of you guys later.